How much money does a restaurant make? Part two. What's up, everybody? Chef Marcus Giuliano here. Hey, so I just did a video on what a restaurant makes. Is one of the most popular questions I get, especially when I start talking to culinary students and talking to people that have not been in the industry or a long time. When it comes to employees and when it comes to you working for somebody, a lot of you just see the money going into the register. You never see the money going out of the register or out of the bank account, right? And the money goes out of a bank account very quickly at a restaurant, extremely quickly. It's no secret that this has one of the most highest failure rates of any industry. A lot of people get into it that just understand the industry and they think because they can cook at home or bake a pie or have a killer barbecue recipe that they can open a restaurant, and it's not the case at all. You have to be a business wizard or hire people to do that, plus be on top of your cooking, hospitality, and all that kind of game, or hire those people who do that work for you, that understand it, and recruit them and train them and nurture them. And there's this whole process, and there's so many things that go into a restaurant. But I want to touch on the basics of scaling your business. So I know a lot of people are like, I just want to open a food truck and I want to, and that's my retirement, or that's what I'm going to do is a food truck. And culinary is like, I'm going to open a food truck and this is this. When you think small, chances are you're never going to make enough money when you're thinking small. So for example, if there's a restaurant that is doing $300,000 in sales, if you think about that, typically the breakdown is, which is what I taught in culinary school. I was taught as a student, and it's sort of a ratio that kind of works. A third for labor, a third for food cost, a third for the other expenses in your business. And if you're lucky, you can get 5 to 10% of that last 33% as profit. Now, if you're doing $300,000, you still pay the same electric and same oil and same all propane and all the same stuff that you would pay if you're doing 600,000. Sure, it's going to be 10% more or whatever because you're using more, but you get that. You're paying the mortgage already, right? So mortgage is whatever it is, or the lease payment is what it is. So you've already had these established fees. So if you do 300,000 versus 600,000, you're only paying 10 or 12% more, but you're making a lot more revenue. So you have a lot more money to pay those bills, right? Now, if you're doing 300, 600, or 900,000, that's a very, very big difference. Now, I know those numbers specifically. My very first year in business, I did $190,000. Now, I came from a country club where I was making six figures, right? I was making over $100,000 on my salary. So I get to a restaurant now, my very first year, and we do $190,000 in sales, right? There's no money left for my salary. There's no money left for me to even live. There's no money. There's nothing left for me. Then the second year I did 3 something, then we did 4, then we did 5, 6, 7, 8, and then, past $1 million. But this is why I talk about how I struggled seriously my first couple of years. So I know firsthand scaling a business is where it's at. So if you get a food truck and you go out and you're doing $100,000 in sales, and how much money is there to pay yourself? Even if you were killing it, so my profit margin's great, my food cost is so low, this, and this, on $200,000, if you said, yeah, I'm making 20%, what's 20% on $200,000 profit for you? That's nothing. What's 20% on $1 million? Now we're talking. What's 20% on 3 million? Wow. Now we're really be like, I can make some investment moves. I can build more. You're really seriously now talking different. But here's the unique thing about this. The bigger you get, the more your profit margin increases. All right. So the more you go. So Fridays. Fridays has a great case study that they put out, and they teach people on this in the industry. So if they have $1.5 million restaurant, they're making 15% profit. If they have a $2.5 million operation, they're making 25% profit, right? So as you scale, right, that electric, that mortgage, all those things become less significant because you're now at a point where you're scaling and there's extra money for all this stuff. So I know somebody who's opening an $8 million restaurant. He's like, yeah, $8 million, we're going to profit $3 million. I don't even do $3 million in sales. And here's somebody who's profiting $3 million because they have an $8 million. So when you're going to go into this, you need to scale your business so you can afford to hire a managing partner, a great chef, a great team, where you don't have to be the one who is, who's the one who's slaved, who's chained to the stove. I was chained to the stove. My first 2 years open, I was chained. I didn't have money. I hired a chef when we first opened, a friend of mine, overpaid him, but he was very qualified at the time. I was like, okay, we're not going to rock this out. You and I can do a lot here, right? But I had the mindset from the very beginning, like I want to do other things. Like I'm not only am I a chef owner, but I'm an entrepreneur, right? I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a restaurateur. I want to do more things. And on that kind of money, I couldn't do anything. Now we have Airbnbs, travel business, DD business. We have a coaching business. We have a lot of other things that I've been able to scale, put people in the right places so I don't have to be chained to the kitchen stove. If you're chained to the kitchen stove, you're never going to scale your business, right? It's only you. It's you. They rely upon you. And there's a lot of great chefs that are in this situation. And, they're making money. They're not making a lot of money, but they're making money and they're happy and this and that, which if that's your deal, that's totally fine. 100% totally fine. But if you're going into this saying, how much can I make? What are my potentials? This and this, scale it, train people, nurture people, put people in charge, and let them. Some of these people might be smarter than you that you're putting in charge, which is totally fine. So totally fine, because they're going to help you grow, right? Who's the one who says, I think it was Grant Cardone says, yeah, I have, so many master's degrees and so many bachelor's degrees and this, and this, and this. Yeah, because they all work for me. All these people's master's degrees work for me. Maybe it was Elon Musk said that. I don't know, one of them. So that, yeah, all these people, I hired people with degrees, with a lot of degrees to come work for me and to execute and get the job done, right? So you have to find people that can do that for you. And you also have to find people that you can train that will work into situations. My best staff, my best team members have been people I've personally trained, what I want done and what I expect. And those have been my best team members, totally. So yeah, so think about the scalability of your business, of your restaurant, and put people in charge and get people to do the work for you. It's like one Airbnb. I was running around like crazy for one property. I run around for 4 properties or 5 properties now. I run around for all those, but I can have money to pay people to run around for me, and I work less, make more money, and I pay some because I've scaled that business now to a point where, wow. But now I'm thinking 5 properties. What happens when I get to do 10 properties or 20 properties? Totally different ball game, right? The scalability is totally different, and the profit margins are totally different because one person is going to check 5 houses in one day as opposed to checking 2 or 3 houses, right? Or whatever it is, the cleaning, everything's scalable at that point. So scalability, that's it, folks. Have a great day. Go to restaurantgrowthsecretsuniversity.com for more great tips on how to run an amazing restaurant.